Thank you for your interest in applying for a Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. This video is a guide to help you prepare your PARTF application. So there's a series of videos. This one provides an overview of the grant cycle. Video 2 are items that are required of all applications, so everyone needs to watch video 2. Video 3 is for development projects, if your application involves requesting funds for construction or renovation. Video 4 is if you're acquiring property, either through purchase or donated. If the grant includes acquisition, you should watch video 4. And video 5 is an overview that everyone should watch. It's the documents that are required with your applications and definitions that we use to help you prepare a competitive application. So quick overview, if you're doing development only, you should watch videos 2, 3, and 5. If you're doing acquisition only, there's no development, you should watch videos 2, 4, and 5. And if you're doing both acquisition and development, you should watch all of the videos. So let's think about a quick overview of PARTF and what you need to know to complete the application process. So the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, information may be found on the ncparks.gov website. If you go to the website, click on the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund logo, you'll go to the PARTF Grants page. In the applicant section, you need to find the 4 applicants. Click on that and you will be able to download a copy of the application. And please do so and have that with you as you watch the remainder of the videos. It will help you go through page by page and clarify any questions that you may have. You may always go to Recreation Resources Service, RRS. I'm Charlene Smith. I'm the Director of RRS, and our consultants will be your first point of contact in helping you prepare your application. The application also lists other resources that can assist you with grant preparation. As part of the overview, we always like to say where the funding comes from for the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. It is appropriated by the North Carolina General Assembly. So the funding amount is dependent on the state budget. So during this past year, a quick snapshot of the fund was that we had a total of 66 local governments that applied for PARTF funding. The only 17 of those applications were awarded a grant. And that was because of the 66 requested over $20 million in grant dollars, but we only had $5.2 million available to award. So that's what makes it such a competitive process, is that there aren't that many funds to actually award all the requests that we have. So the grant cycle starts in late October when the application is released. For the next year, these instructional videos are available. That gives you October through April to prepare your application and have it reviewed. So your regional consultant with RRS can review and give you feedback. But you need to get it to them prior to April 1st. So that way you have time to address any feedback. May 3rd this year, because the 1st is on a weekend, so May 3rd, the application is due. Early summer is at RRS, and the Division of State Parks teams will review all the applications and evaluate those. Then in late summer, the Parks Authority will make the selections with contracts typically signed in early fall. So keep that in mind. It can be a full year from now, from the start of the grant process in late October, before you actually have a contract to start your project. Keep that in mind as you develop everything. So a quick summary: October 20 is when the application process begins. The cycle is open. You can get applications, start reviewing that, looking at the requirements. May 3rd, applications must be received or postmarked and delivered to the Division of State Parks. And again, late summer is when the Parks Authority meets to select grant recipients. And as a reminder, all applications must be mailed to the Division of Parks and Recreation, North Carolina State Parks in downtown Raleigh. Make sure your mail or shipping includes a tracking number. Please keep that. And you can deliver it in person, so if you're planning to do that next May or April, please contact us and let us know. The application checklist is a very important item to take a look at. So this will kind of give you your game plan for putting everything together. Review the instructions, sections. It'll have all the documents that are needed for each one. And there's also a digital component, so you need to select a digital or create a digital copy. But each of these checklist instruction sections correspond with the videos. So make sure you take a look at those. But again, a digital and a paper copy is required. The paper copy will be the official application that is submitted. The digital copy is what we'll use to share with the team to review your application and all the documents, and keeps you from having to print out multiple copies. So here it tells the number of copies required. So digital, everything needs a digital PDF version. 2 items will need 20 copies. That's your description and justification, the one-page justification, and the site plan. And that is because those are copies that are provided to the Park Authority members, so they have your official printed copy of the application. They see both of those pages from your application. Make sure you name the file names correctly. So use these examples here. One checklist for some, in parentheses, it's called checklist, basic facts, site plan. Again, and as you go through it, this will give you the page reference in the application of where to find more detail on that particular checklist item. If it says if applicable, know that you may or may not need that. If you have a joint use agreement with the school system, it is applicable and you need to require it. But if your project doesn't include that, in that example, you would not have that. Not everybody will have a comprehensive system-wide plan. If you do and it's available, please submit it to get points for that. And here's an example from one applicant of the naming conventions that work best for us to be able to quickly and efficiently review all of your applications. Again, 1 is checklist, 2 basic facts, and just follow this. And if you do it by the numbering system, it's much easier for the review team to go through and find the information that you've submitted. So eligible applicants are counties and incorporated municipalities. Joint applications between these two are eligible, but please contact your consultant if you'd like to know more information or you think we'll be doing that. We'll be glad to talk through all the pros and cons of each. Eligible projects are land acquisition and or development on a single site, so it must be one location. So for example, an ineligible example that wouldn't be a single site is, say I want to put 5 playgrounds across 5 different parks in my community. That is not eligible. It has to be one location per application. The maximum request is $500,000, and it is a dollar for dollar match. So if you ask for $500,000, you will have to match that with $500,000. Keep in mind, if you are doing land acquisition and the landowner is donating the land or using it at a discount sale, the appraised value of the donated land can be used as part of your match. So that's always a plus. If you think that's the case, again, talk with your RRS consultant and we can explain all that and make sure everything's in order for that. The value of in-kind services, say labor, cannot be used. Also remember that any property acquired with PARTF must be dedicated in perpetuity for public recreational use. Facilities that are built or renovated with PARTF must be used for public recreational use for 25 years. Application evaluation and selection are another piece that folks ask about. So evaluation is done by the PARTF staff scoring teams. So this would be your RRS consultants and the Division of Parks and Recreation Grants and Outreach staff. So we coordinate as teams. Everybody have everybody will have 3 people evaluating one grant. So we divide up all of the grant applications between the teams, And we score based on the application documentation. So use that scoring system, and that's how we look at it. Our consultants will also conduct a pre-award site inspection, and the final score comes down to a team consensus. So does everybody agree? And also know that we are very careful and that every application is evaluated the same. So the process for making a decision for one application is the exact same as making a decision about a score on another application. Now, selection of grants is the Parks and Recreation Authority. And through admin rules, regulations, they have factors that they must consider when making their selection. So they will look at your project description and justification page. So make sure that you really sell your project on that one-page document. The applicant's rank based on the PARTF scoring system. So they are shown the score, what was the score of your application. They also look at geographic distribution of funds. So one of the requirements is that they spread it out across the state. They do look at the population of the applicant. That's on every application that they review. So they try to spread it between small communities and large communities. The amount of funds requested and the amount of funds available. If you recall from the snapshot, there's a broad difference between those two. So I know this past year they would have awarded a lot more if they had the funds available. Now, geographic distribution uses the North Carolina Prosperity Zones to evaluate the grant distribution. Now, this is different. Here's the overlay of the RRS regions. A lot of people think of it that way, but those are just arbitrary based on our number of staff. These are the geographic regions that are used by the Parks and Recreation Authority. So if awarded, there are certain requirements. You will receive a grants manual. You will be required to sign the contract, the chief elected official. Starting the project can start once that contract is signed. There are reimbursements that take place, so you can ask for reimbursements periodically throughout the project. There will be audits and inspections, and completing the PARTF project is always the end goal. So here's a ribbon cutting that we did for one of the parks. So remember that the grants manual, all that will be provided once you're awarded a contract, and you'll be able to see everything that's required of the grant. So here's the Recreation Resources staff. We have 3 offices. Judy Francis is in the Western region. Rashawn King has the Central West region. Jim Needle Bunley is in the Central East region. And Brittany Ship covers the Eastern region on this map. So Brittany's down at Hammocks Beach. Jen and Rashawn are in the Raleigh office here at NC State. And Judy is in the Asheville office. Any one of our consultants or I can answer questions you have, but please contact the consultant from your region, because they're going to be the one working with you the most closely, reviewing your application and have the lead on that. Thank you for your time, and we wish you luck with your application process.